Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at a shoot 'em up that most people know for being pretty expensive these days, but maybe don't know that it's one of the best shooters on the Sega Saturn, and that's Guardian Force, which was released in 1998 in Japan only, and was developed and published by Success, a developer best known for the Cotton series of shooters. And while those are basically shoot-'em-ups with a heavy emphasis on fantasy elements, this game is anything but. It's all about futuristic tanks, robots, and laser weapons in an assortment of sci-fi settings. The basic plot of the game is that there are bad guys. You are a good guy. You have a sweet-ass tank, and there are a bunch of crystals that contain a powerful, potentially destructive force that the bad guys want to get their hands on. So you are guarding it. So the title is very literal, though I personally would have called it Super Tank Earth-Scorching Yo-Yo of Doom. But that's a little long-winded. There are a few gameplay elements that set Guardian Force apart from the slew of other shooters for the Saturn and make it such an enjoyable game. For starters, you're playing as a tank instead of a ship, which allows you the opportunity to fire in all 8 directions by spinning your turret around, while at the same time you have a primary weapon that fires directly ahead of you, so you're able to fire in 2 different directions at once at all times, which comes in very handy because enemies constantly come at you from all sides. The power-up system works something like the system in the Cotton games. By destroying enemies and collecting the crystals that they drop, you build up an experience meter, and leveling up increases your firepower. Also, even though you only have one tank to play as, each of the different multicolored power-ups you can collect grants your turret a different weapon, such as lasers, missiles, and even a giant energy yo-yo. Plus, each weapon comes with its own unique super bomb, so there's actually more variety in this game than I initially thought there would be. Plus, the direction that the screen scrolls in is constantly changing. So in one stage you might go from vertically scrolling to horizontal to diagonal and back again, which really keeps you on your toes. And at the center of all of this, the power-ups, the weapons, the shifting perspective, is just a fun and challenging shooter. Admittedly, sometimes there's so much going on and coming from so many different directions that it can get a little confusing at times or feel kind of overwhelming, but it's such a unique game as far as shooters go, and it plays so well that it hardly matters. This is definitely a very fun game that I have a hard time putting down once I've started playing. The visuals and sound design in Guardian Force are both equally good and equally kind of incoherent, as there isn't really any one theme linking it all together aside from a general futuristic sci-fi vibe. Each stage looks really good with lots of color and cool details, but you never really know what you're getting from one to the next. You might be in some kind of military base, and then suddenly you're whisked away to a purple desert or some other alien location, but there's no doubt that this is a nice looking game with interesting stage and enemy designs and lots of great flashy effects and big explosions, which will always make any shooter just that much better. Likewise, the soundtrack is great but never seems to go with an overall theme. The tracks jump from high-speed heavy metal to slow and groovy trance music and even some Dick Dell inspired surfer rock. So the energy of the game feels like it's shifting all the time with the changing intensity of the music, which is a little perplexing, but overall it is a very good soundtrack, and the sound effects from the various weapons, power-ups, and explosions all sound great too. So while I'd say that Guardian Force often doesn't look, sound, or play like a lot of other shooters, all of those elements do fit together really well, and what you get is a game that looks good, sounds good, plays well, offers a great challenge, and is a lot of fun. So this is a great game that I think is one of the better shooters available for the Sega Saturn, and I highly recommend it to shoot 'em up fans. Unfortunately, as I touched on at the start of this review, this game, like a lot of shooters on the Saturn, has become pretty damn expensive in recent years. A quick look at eBay has copies mostly listed for between $200 and $300, which is insane. And obviously, the vast majority of people, myself included, wouldn't be willing to pay that much. On the other hand, if you have MAME or reliable Saturn emulator, or if by some miracle you can come across this game for $100 or less, definitely go out of your way to play it. I'm sure you'll be glad you did. It's Guardian Force, aka Super Tank, Earth-scorching yo-yo of doom. And it's awesome.